Using qualifiers or secondary color correction is the key to creative color correction and color grading. It's about isolating certain regions from your video using certain elements such as the colors themselves, their brightness or saturation, or even collecting color info from your video. It will take some training from you to fully master them. But then you will not be able to survive color grading and amazing looks without qualifiers. You will cover here the 4 methods in qualifiers: HSL, RGB, Luma, and 3D. Each one of them will give you a certain color isolation depending on what you are working on. You will also learn about mattes, how to refine them, remove grains, shrink them to get the very right isolation you need. I'll also give you an example on how to remove green screen with HSL and 3D. Qualifiers or secondary color correction. Secondary color correction or qualifiers in DaVinci Resolve is about isolating a specific part of the image or a specific subject, for example, using certain color components such as hue, saturation, luminance, or actually drawing it on the screen. You can even create areas using the RGB colors. After you have isolated the subject, you will have created a key. On this key, you will be able to use any color correction to change whatever is needed in terms of colors, luminance, hue, saturation, whatever you like, and using your curves or the primary wheels. Now, practically, you will use the qualifier palette, where you have 4 options here: HSL, RGB, Luma, and 3D. Using the qualifier palette, you will define a key or a match if you like. And then when this is well defined and you have refined it, you can go back and use whatever color corrections you have at your disposal to be able to change the colors the way you would like. For example, here I have done just an example for you. We'll do it together again. We have changed the colors from green. You notice the beautiful green here. Well, the director wanted it a very monotonous, something like autumn and so on, with a future behind there. And this one, for example, you will notice that we removed the green from here and replaced it with also something, monotonous or autumn if you like. Then we will work together on working on the eyes of this guy to make them from this color to something green. So the concept goes like this. You will use the qualifier palette and use any of the 4 if you like. And then you define a key. This is the key here. And then you refine the key. And then you apply your color corrections the way you would like. So actually, that's it. It's very easy, very simple. You can also use it to do green screen keying if you like to. In the next lecture, we'll jump in and we'll start with the 101 for qualifiers, which is the HSL. Let's start with our first clip. I removed the grading I have done as a demo before, and together we are going to start afresh. Our mission is very easy. We are going to select the green grass and change its colors. First of all, we will select our green grass and refine our selection, including every part and excluding the parts that we don't want from the green. Then we're going to have a matte and we are going to refine this matte, then play on the color correction that we want. For this, we are going to use the HSL Qualifier. The HSL Qualifier is based on the hue, saturation, luminance. That's why it's HSL. The hue is the color you are going to select. The saturation is the saturation of the colors that you are going to select. Luminance is the luminance of the range of colors you are going to select. And then from here, you can adjust your selection. Let's start. You have here 3 pickers. The picker itself, that's the one you start with, the remove color picker, and the add color picker. So we start by selecting a certain color, then we can add and remove, and of course we can adjust the values over here. Now please guys, if you select the plus and try to get something, it won't work. So make sure you are selecting the picker. On the right side here, you can remove softness and add softness. I will show you how it works. On this side, you have 2 tabs, tab number 1, tab number 2. It is about the matte finesse. You are going to refine the matte using these properties over here. So let's start by picking a color. I would like you to select the picker and do not click once. Click and drag. I will start in the dark green here and move. Notice how it's adjusting the colors or the choice of hue, saturation, and luminance. I will undo. Let's say I start from here and go over here. You notice how they are working and being adjusted. So what do we have here? From the hue, it has selected this range of colors. You can see the green over here. From the saturation, it has selected this range of saturation according to the first pick. And it has selected a certain luminance. Now, how do you know what has been selected? You go to the highlights here and you put it on. In the highlights, you have two options. You have the options for the highlight. It will show you gray and colors. Gray meaning all the colors you have not selected, and whatever color you are seeing here are the colors you have selected. The black and white is the matte, and we are going to work on it later. So we'll go to gray here, and we notice what hasn't been selected and what has been selected. In the qualifier, you can start working here. You can click and change the selection. Here you are. Now we are selecting blue. Okay, now we are selecting green. Not our purpose. But also you can extend the selection. You can click over here and extend it. Okay. Or you can come to the width and extend it from here. Now notice when you extend it, you add. When you shrink it, you remove colors selected. So I think the way we were was the best. Then you have the softness. Notice here what's going to happen when I change the softness. It means it's going to soften your selection. Notice some colors are disappearing here, but not all the colors are disappearing. It's only the softness. I will undo. The symmetry here, if you take it up, it will work on the left side for the softness. Take it down, it works on the right side of the softness. I'll put it back to 50. Saturation. This is the saturation of the selected colors. But you can add saturation and decide like I want more saturated colors to be selected. Not much is happening in our case when we take the high up. This is the high. But if you take the low up, it means the low saturation will be eliminated. You are narrowing the saturation selection. Not good at all for us. I think we are cool here. Luminance, if you notice, is not going to do much effect unless you go for high values or lower values or something like this. Luminance is not effective in our case here. Now the best way is to come back to the picker and decide to add colors. For example, we need to select this range of colors here. So I'll click and just drag. It's okay. Then add these colors. I don't want the three here, but I want this guy. So now you have created your matte and you want to refine this matte. Now usually what I do, I put off the highlights and just increase the hue or play with it. So I have a certain change. Now I can know very well what has been selected, what hasn't been selected. Notice this tree is going to be very outstanding and we have selected these colors here. Let's try to deselect them. It's not going to work. And you notice too much has been deselected. So I have my own matte using the hue. I will undo the hue. Up to now, we have completed the qualification for the colors, or we completed the selection of the colors. In the next lecture, we're going to work with the matte and refine the matte. Let's start refining the matte. Put on the highlights and go to the real matte, which you can find by clicking on highlight black and white just here. So this is the matte. Now you want to refine this matte. You want to make it, smoother if you like. Of course, you come to the matte finesse in the tab 1. The first option is denoise. Now notice how the white is very coarse or the black is very coarse here. Denoise will make it smoother. So the selection is somehow being blurred at the end here. And it's very useful, by the way. Then you have clean black. It's about cleaning the black. If you had some dots of black here, notice here we have some dots of black inside, but that's clean white. And let's try the clean black and see exactly what happens. Okay, I'm increasing the clean black and it's shrinking a bit. So I think clean black is cool. Just increase it a bit here. I'm looking at these dots. Actually, it increases the black within your matte. Now, of course, I know that you already know whatever is black is not selected and whatever is white is selected. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. it's exactly like the other one. Okay, you notice? So what is white is selected, what is black is not selected. Now let's clean up the white. So these dots must disappear. Okay, fine. I think we are doing a good job here. Then you have the blur radius. The blur radius is about blurring the contour of the white. I'll show you that later on. You can come to tab 2, and here you have the mode. You can shrink, grow, or opening and closing. If you select shrink, of course you're going to shrink the matte. It means you're going to shrink the white. Here you are. I will undo this, and then we'll come back here when you have done quite some job inside. My matte is okay. I'm gonna go back to original one and add the hue and see exactly what is happening. In fact, we have done a great job, except that some of them, the trees, are being selected. Well, you can sit back and play with the hue, saturation, and the matte finesse to be able to remove these colors. So now let's give it the right colors that we want. I will reset the hue, and I want to go towards brown. Here you are. Okay, not bad. Just here will do very well. Well, according to my monitor, it looks very nice. So now I did this, but it's not complete and some things have changed. Let's add an outside node, outside node here. And if you play with the hue, you will notice what you have been selecting on the outside node. And if I play with the hue, I will notice what the outside node is controlling, the sky and so on. You can do some adjustment, but of course you're going to affect the sky. So maybe we leave it alone. We don't play with the hue. Well, we can play with the saturation a bit. We're going to saturate the sky a bit. Okay. And if you add some contrast also, it will affect. So this is before and this is after. I hope you learned a lot about the qualifier. Of course, in the next lecture, we're going to see RGB from another clip, and it's going to be easier because you already know a lot of these things. In the previous lecture, guys, we worked on the HSL Qualifier, and we did our selection for the green and we got a certain result. In this lecture, we are going to work on the qualifier RGB, or the RGB Qualifier. So what I've done, I duplicated the same clip and I removed all the gradients so we can see them side by side and decide on the difference of how the selection is being done between the two qualifiers, HSL and RGB. Let's start with the RGB. The concept here is to select certain colors that will contain a certain amount of red, certain amount of green, a certain amount of blue. For example, if I select over here, it's going to have this quantity or this amount of red and this amount of green and this amount of blue. It's not like you're going to select blue here, green here, and I don't know, some red over here. No, guys, it's going to be a single spot that has a certain range for red, green, blue. And of course, you have the same low, high, low, soft, and high, soft for all of them. Let's go ahead and start our selection. I will select and click, just one click over here. And then I'll bring the highlights, of course. So notice the selection now. It's almost perfect. It has selected the green that I want, even over here. And it has selected part of the trees. Notice even it has selected the shadow. So the selection for red, green, blue is a bit different. And that's what makes all the difference in the qualifier. They don't do anything different. Only the selection is different, and the way you can select is also different and can allow you or forbid you from doing certain selections. Now, since selection is good, you would want to refine it using the low soft and high soft for all the colors. I will start with the red here. Let's say if I increase it, I'm not seeing what's happening here. I'm deselecting certain areas. I don't like it. I will undo. I will go for the high soft and see what's happening. Absolutely nothing, and I will undo. Okay, so it's 1-1. Let's come to the green here. I can move the green and change the selection. Okay, that's too much. In fact, I'm gonna undo. I'm happy with that, but maybe I will increase the low soft. Not bad. I'm deselecting now. I can see that, but actually it's doing quite well. I don't mind this selection here. It's gonna still give you black and you will have the green. Let's play the video and see the whole selection. The road is very fine. Less is deselected from the trees here, which must give us a nice look. There is some deselection over here, no problem about it. Actually, I'm gonna use it. Okay, now let's go to the high soft and see exactly what's happening. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back to 1. Let's come to the blue and try to stretch it. Notice what's happening. Start selecting a bit of the sky. Okay, and now we are deselecting more. That would be interesting. Actually, I like this selection because it's gonna give you some very nice colors over here. So actually, this is the method. Quite different from HSL, but still your selection is different. Something about videos, guys. No video is like the other. Even if it's shot in the same camera with the same lighting and same everything, you will always find differences. Some will work better with the HSL, some will work better with RGB, and some will be very feasible to work with Luma or 3D. So it's up to you to test and to experiment which one you want to use. There is no rule here except the results that you want to get. So let's go now to the matte, of course, and want to refine the matte. I play the video here. And you notice our matte is not bad and doesn't have much noise, except over here, for example, the noise is okay, meaning this dancing pixels if you like. I can denoise it a bit while it's playing. I like doing that sometimes. Okay, not bad at all. And I will stop it now because I want to see the black. I think the black is very clean. If I increase it also, it will be a bit better. I'm removing certain colors. Let's clean the white. Okay, no, I don't want. I want to keep this kind of look here where you have a mixture and here you have a mixture. The blur radius maybe will increase it a bit. Actually, this is very fine. I do not want to change the ratio of the in and out. Okay, it's pretty fine like this. I will cancel it. Come to number 2 here. We could shrink it a bit. Let's go for shrink and we go maybe for 1 or 2. That could give us a result. So if you play it, notice is a kind of noticing and knowing exactly what you're doing. I don't like it here. In fact, what I would like to do is to grow it looking at this. That's much better. Okay, notice here, I changed my mind. In fact, it's better to grow the matte. So I guess we have our matte and it's pretty beautiful. Let's go to the original now and let's change the hue. We want to get it around 64, 60 something. Let's check this one. It is 61. Let's come over here. Let's add it at 61. Are we getting the same results? So that's the previous clip. And that's the new clip. Well, actually, it's up to you to decide which one you like most. They are very much identical. This is the new one. And this is the old one. And it's like pretty cool, guys. I hope you understood the difference between HSL and RGB. In the next lecture, we are going to work amazingly with the Luma, which is very interesting. Let's work with the qualifier Luma, or the qualifier brightness. The qualifier Luma is exactly like the HSL with hue, saturation, and luminance, but hue and saturation are put off. And it isolates colors according to their luminance or their brightness. And this is very useful for these kind of videos where you have lots of contrast between the background and the foreground. So let's start here. I will take the picker and pick a certain color. Here you are, something like this. Then go to the matte itself. I don't even go here. It's okay. I can go directly to the black and white. And the matte is looking good, except his eyes maybe. Let's try low soft, increasing it. Okay, no, we are picking more of the eyes. I'm going to take it down just a bit. Okay, just a bit. And then try the low soft. Not bad at all. Then we're going to come to matte finesse and clean the black. Here you are. I'm trying to remove whatever is inside these eyes. Now let's clean the whites as much as possible. Fine, let's try with this matte and we see exactly if we get a good result. I'll go out from the highlights and I'm going to use the gain to add some yellow. Here you are. Well, it's working very fine. Notice it's pretty good because we're getting white, black and yellow over here. I'm going to increase it a bit. Increase a bit on the lift or the shadows or even red if you like to. Okay, yeah, that's giving him this dirty look or this very mean look. I think here we went too far. Let's put it back. We changed his colors, but he still look very natural. This is before and this is after. Now he's a yellow beast instead of a white bird. Here you are. If you play the video, yes, not bad at all. Well, the point here was to show you how the Luma will work, how you can work with contrast, in fact, with brightness. And this is a very good example. Of course, there are other things here you can do. The way you will qualify the colors or isolate the colors, you can have different results. Now, I worked on the whites. How about if you work on the blacks or try the shadows? Instead of selecting the whites like I've done here, you will select the blacks here. See exactly what's going to happen and how you can work with it. This was very easy about the luminance or the brightness, but please keep it in mind because sometimes it's extremely useful. I had to bring in a new video here that has a lot of colors so we can work on the Qualifier 3D. Now basically the Qualifier 3D has a different concept from the HSL and RGB in the way you do your qualification for the colors or the selection of the colors. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a video where you want to select the blue and the red. Well, in this case, you can make your graph just like this here, the bar, and let's move it over here. Whatever you turn this bar around, it really doesn't matter. You're going to go through other colors. You're going to select the blue, and to select the red, you will have to select the yellow and the green and the cyan. Quite a problem. Look at your mat over here. It almost selected everything. So in HSL and in RGB, you're always selecting a range. You are not selecting a color. When you go to the 3D qualifier, you have the possibility to select selected colors if you like. You have the option to show a path, meaning you are going to draw certain path from which you are going to pick or qualify the colors. You have two modes, the YUV and the HSL color modes. You can experiment which one works better for any video you're working with. And you have the softness. The way you select colors here is by clicking on the picker. You can always click on the plus over here. It will work in this case. And then make sure that the highlights are off so you can see the path you are drawing. And I'm going to select something just like this over here. Okay. Go back to the highlights. And you will notice that it has selected the colors that were in your path here and some other colors that will match. In the qualifier, there is a plus with a color. And you have the RGB for this color. So you notice this color has a lot of blue, 159 of green, and the red is 110. So this is the path for the first selection. Let's remove the highlights and let's take another path now. You can use the plus or the picker, it will work. And let's take, for example, the red. I'm going to do something like this. You notice I'm doing it on the apple. Okay, now I added so much. And now, if you go to your highlights, two colors have been selected and they are not continuous. You notice selected red and blue. I'll go back to 3D. So here I have blue and red. There are two paths now. And you notice the plus sign. It means these are added. So actually we took a lot of colors here. We could delete this path and go back and draw another path. For example, this one over here. Okay, for the red. Actually, this is what we want. Now we have a different path and different colors. We go back to the highlights. Okay, this selection is much better. So this is the way you keep on adding path until you get the result that you want, independent if the colors are next to each other according to the color wheel. Let's say you want to add green now. For example, I will add green just for the sake of the example. Okay, look at my mat and here you are. Green has been added and you have the path being added. If you take, for example, a negative and decide that you don't want the floor over here, you can draw over it. Okay, we'll see the path now. And then remove the highlights. It's a red path, meaning it is minus. You are removing it from your color selection. Though it didn't remove much, but it gives you the point. You can take another minus, for example, and remove, let me see, this area over here. You say this one, I don't want. So it has added a negative path, meaning I'm removing from there. If you look at it now, didn't do much, but you get my point. So this is the concept of 3D qualifier. You're just creating some path from which you can select the colors that you want or the colors that you don't want. Now all the time try to go from HSL to YUV and see exactly the results if you like them or not. It's actually very powerful, but I needed to give you some examples that are demonstrative of what I'm doing and not like we are working something serious. Because in the next lecture, we are going to try to use the 3D qualifier to remove colors from a green screen. That will be a bit practical. How do you remove green screen from a clip in DaVinci Resolve 15? We are going to try it now. Let's go to the edit page, and in the qualifier clips bin, you have a green screen here. You can click and drag and drop it on V2. It is on V2 because later on I'm going to take a background and put it on V1 and then, composite together. I'm going to delete now the background and go back to the color page. And in here, I want to try to remove the green screen and see exactly how I can get it perfect. Now, first of all, this is secondary colors and you need to use the qualifier. You have several you can use: HSL, RGB, Luma Impossible, and 3D. Don't jump directly and say 3D. 3D could be easy to use and will give you good results. But actually, you are removing a single color, which is the green here. You want to isolate the green and remove it completely. So HSL could be very useful. Let's try. I select the picker and make sure the highlights is off and pick a certain color. I'm gonna get nearer to the subject as much as possible. I think I will come near to the hair, just grab as much as I can. Okay, it's not moving. This is the color I got. If I go to the matte now, notice it has selected the green and it has deselected the subject. That's not exactly what we want. We want to select the green and remove it completely. So I will have to invert. Now let's go to our black and white. And by concept, we know that the white is what we have selected and the black is supposed to have become transparent. But actually, this is not happening in our output. This is because the output by default is set to composite. It will always composite whatever you have within the clip. You need to set a new output, which is an alpha output, meaning this output will make sure that whatever is transparent stays transparent on the output. To add an alpha output is very easy. You right click, says add alpha output. The blue one here is your alpha output. And you notice you have the blue square here. So it just makes sense to link the blue square, we talked about it, this for effects and stories like this, to the alpha output. Here you are, click and drag, pull it over here. Now we're getting some results, but we still have some green, of course, we need to work on. Now, if you decide like, okay, I have the alpha output and that's what I want, I'm going to delete the upper one, the link. Now the whole work is gone. This is because though there are two outputs, they're going to composite. And you're going to take the alpha and add it to the subject, like in the qualification here, and they will composite and you will have a single output. This said, let's start cleaning up our matte. So I selected this green color and it's okay. I like to try again. Okay, maybe this is better. Try again over here. It's pretty rough, by the way. I'm gonna go next to his hair. We tried this. Then we are going to start cleaning the matte. I will clean the black. Now, if you clean the white, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna increase on the borders. You see the borders here? So maybe we forget about cleaning the white for now. You can blur the radius. Notice how you are blurring the radius on the surrounding, something you don't want to do. You can shrink it in and out. I was going to shrink it in and see the effect. I don't want to eat the ears or something, okay, or take out the details. I think that will be cool. Let's come back to number 2, and we have shrink here, and let's put 2. It's working a bit. Now, we still have some colors here. How about if you add this color without doing a disaster? Okay, that worked fine. Not bad at all. Let's go now to the matte itself. I'm gonna go back and clean up the white just a bit. And then go back to normal. I don't have any noise. It's working very fine. So the HSL qualifier can work from time to time on your videos and you can have good results. Let's go back to the timeline and take our background and then extend it. We go back to the color page And of course, we want to work on the clip itself. So I'm going to select this clip over here. Go to the primary. Just try to give it more color, more vibrance if you like. Something like this to merge with the background. This looks nice. So we have done the green screen using HSL. So please, I beg you, do not disregard Qualifier HSL to remove green screen. Sometimes it's extremely useful. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you how to remove the same green screen with the 3D qualifier. And it's going to be fun. In the previous lecture, we used the HSL qualifier to remove the green screen from this clip, and we put a certain background. In this lecture, I want to show you how to use the 3D qualifier to remove the green screen. Actually, it's going to be a bit easier, but it depends on you and depends really on your video later on. I want to show you both methods, and you decide which one is good for your videos. So let's start here with the 3D. I will select, and the way I work is to create short path around the subject. Short because if I want to delete them later, I'm not deleting everything. Don't go doing like this, so it won't work. So I will invert it now and select more. So I'm adding another path here. And maybe I'll select one here. Not bad, it's getting better. And one here. So actually you feel free to add all the path that you want to add. This one I think it's a bit far. I want to take it nearer, so I'm gonna come over here. So this kind of short path is much better. Please don't do something like this or like this. Okay, that's not real. Let's go back now to the matte. It looks good here. Let's go to the matte black and white and let's clean the blacks. You notice there is a lot of noise. So I'll stop over here and clean the black. That's it. That's pretty cool. Okay, and let's go back to the normal view. It's looking pretty good, though the subject has moved. You don't worry about it. And actually, we have done a great job. So the key or the most important thing in the 3D key is the path you are going to draw. Now, if you do short path, it will be even much better. I think this is even excellent, and we didn't take much work. Maybe you want to shrink a bit the radius here. I think it's done. Let's go back to the timeline and take the background, press Alt and just duplicate it, or Option on the Mac, and you click and drag. Go back to our color page, and actually we remove the path. We have done a great job here. You know the trick now. You know how to work on the finesse, and you know how to do it very right. So it's up to you now to refine your matte, to work with the colors, maybe make them a bit better. Make sure you're selecting the right clip. Okay, we take down a bit the gain and take down the shadows a bit. So we give them some spirit and we try to merge them with the background. Your assignment for this section is to change the color of the eyes of this bird. This is before, and you want to change it to any color you would like. Try to use HSL Qualifier and the 3D Qualifier. Also try your hand on the RGB. It's pretty easy, but you will get used a bit on the qualifiers and how to use them. In the next lecture, it will be a tutorial, and I will give you 2 examples of how you could change the eyes here. So please guys, jump in and start creating and start changing the color of the eyes of this guy. Make them beautiful, make them green, whatever you like, and do the right qualification for the color. Our mission here is to change the color for the eyes of this bird. Okay, you can make them blue, green, whatever you like. So let's put it in the timeline. I'll click and drag and drop it inside the timeline. Okay, I'll take the sound only selected and press backspace to delete it. Now I want to show you 2 ways. So I press Alt and just click and drag, and then I duplicate the clips. Go back to the color page, select this clip, get the guy to be looking at us. I will start by using the HSL Qualifier. I'm going to zoom in and then start selecting. I will select the bright areas. Here you are, just like this. Go to the matte, see exactly what I selected. Actually, it's not bad. We need to clean the black from outside and clean the white to make it a bit bigger. Then I'm going to make it a bit bigger, the input-output ratio. I will go to the second tab and go from shrink to grow and make the radius a bit bigger. Okay, I like this. Now I'm gonna change the color, the hue, and put it to this color. Let's remove the brightness. Here you are, is not bad. This is gonna stay black, that's the way it is. Let's go to 100% and play our video to see exactly if you have done a good job. Actually, it's pretty neat. I hope you have done this before you come to this lecture. Now I'll take the second one here, and I will go now to the 3D and make the guy look at us. Zoom in the same way we have done before. Use the Alt to bring it over here, Shift to take it down, and then I'm gonna start using the picker. So I will draw a line just around here. Not bad. I could draw a line just over here. Let's see if this will work. Go to the matte, and we selected too many colors. Let's reset. I'm gonna draw just over here, and then that's over here. Let's go and see what we selected. Not bad. If I go back to the matte, it's okay. Let's now clean the black from the outside, clean the white from the inside. Let's see the whole image. We didn't select anything else. So let's go for the hue now, make it somehow green, and go back to the normal one. This is our selection. We remove show path, and if you play, you have a very nice bird now. He has green eyes, and it's very beautiful. Actually, guys, this is to demonstrate to you how easy it is to work with DaVinci Resolve and the qualifiers. I will see you in the next lecture.